You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Sometimes writers feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
My name is Jessie, and I'm proud of the life I have, surrounded by military and aware just how big the world really is. I have a unique perspective on life and the world around us. If you're willing to listen, I'll tell you how I see it, and I won't pull any punches. This is my POV, which stands for Point of View. All right, it's Jessie. How's everybody doing today? Yes, I miss you. And I can't seem to keep hitting the right buttons tonight. I can explain it. All right. Over the weekend, I had my studio in one part of the house, and I completely moved everything. And during that move, I added a second monitor. So now I've got to keep track a little bit better of where my mouse is. So my mouse was clicking on the wrong thing. All right. That's probably more about my life than you ever wanted to hear. But 'tis the way the cookie crumbles today. Now, what we're talking about is what's next after the bomb. The bombs fell. What's next? Well, I've actually got some audio for that. Big surprise, I know. I've got audio. Now, remember, I do edit the audio clips because sometimes, as much as I would love to play you the whole speech, it's not conducive. Some of them are quite lengthy. So, yeah. Anyway, quite the number of things going on my computer. I probably should have checked some of this after relocating and swapping computers around too. But I tend to run a little bit more on the seat of my pants. I'll admit it. All right, let's talk about the bombings. We weren't alone. We were not alone. And yes, Mr. Frog is trying to put his 2 cents in and probably will all night tonight. Long story on that, just accept. Our partners, the UK and France, also played a pivotal role. Okay, that is Prime Minister Theresa May. I am working on finding the important part of her audio that I wanted to play for you. Now, let's get back to what we were talking about. Okay, I am trying to find the right spot in the Theresa May audio. Okay, I have no idea why you're not hearing this. Give me just a moment. Try that one more time. Seems I must have a setting off somewhere. Quite interesting. Well, we're just going to have to wing it and make it work tonight. Because I'm not sure what you're hearing other than me talking. Because that's the only thing I see making its way out. Gonna have to... Alright, what we're gonna do... We are going to take a real quick break. I'm going to play one of my favorite bumpers for you while I make a quick check on something. Thank you for hanging in there with me over the technical glitches. Now let's see if you can hear Theresa May.
UK medical and scientific experts have analysed open source reports, images and video footage from the incident and concluded that the victims were exposed to a toxic chemical. This is corroborated by first-hand accounts from NGOs and aid workers. While the World Health Organization received reports that hundreds of patients arrived at Syrian health facilities on Saturday night with signs and symptoms consistent with exposure to toxic chemicals.
All right. This is, like I said, Theresa May explaining to the House of Commons today her motivation for participating in the bombing.
And based on our assessment, we do not think that these reports could be falsified on this scale. Furthermore, Mr. Speaker, the Syrian regime has reportedly been attempting to conceal the evidence by searching evacuees from Douma to ensure samples are not being smuggled from this area. And a wider operation to conceal the facts of the attack is underway, supported by the Russians. Mr. Speaker, the images of this suffering are utterly haunting.
She definitely has that one right. Now, we're going to fast forward into her speech here. Hopefully I can grab the right section.
The fact that such an atrocity can take place in our world today is a stain on our humanity. And we are clear about who is responsible. A significant...
Okay, let me fast forward. I know what I'm looking for. As usual, I don't have the clip prepared. Why don't I? I'm busy trying to finish up.
Multiple open source reports and...
Okay, fast forward. To be honest, I've been slam busy all weekend.
The opposition does not operate helicopters or use barrel bombs.
Yes. Everyone, for those who are saying, well, are we sure Assad did it? Hang on. This is important.
And the Syrian military officials coordinated what appears to be the use of chlorine weapons. Mr. Speaker, no other group could have carried out this attack. The opposition does not operate helicopters or use barrel bombs. Daesh does not even have a presence in Douma. And the reports of this attack are consistent with previous regime attacks. These include the attack on the 21st of August 2013, where over 800 people were killed and thousands more injured in a chemical attack also in Ghouta.
All right, so that's Theresa May's proof. The attack was carried out using barrel bombs and helicopters. Scream all you want. Show me where the resistance has air power.
And the attack at Khan Sheikhoun on the 4th of April last year, where the Syrian regime used sarin against its people, killing around 100 with a further 500 casualties. Based on the regime's persistent pattern of behaviour and the cumulative analysis of specific incidents, we judged it highly likely that the Syrian regime had continued to use chemical weapons on at least 4 occasions since the attack in Khan Sheikhoun.
All right, fast forward again. I need to jump
way for it because I know what I'm looking for. She gave an excellent breakdown of exactly what was launched by whom and at what targets, and it was fantastic, and I wish I'd bookmarked it.
Furthermore, on each occasion when we have seen every sign of chemical...
Oh, good grief, get over it. I get it. You bombed them.
This was a limited, targeted and effective strike that would significantly degrade Syrian chemical weapons capabilities and deter their future use, and with clear boundaries that expressly sought to avoid escalation and did everything possible to prevent civilian casualties. As a result, the coordinated actions of the US, UK and France were successfully and specifically targeted at 3 sites. Contrary to what the Leader of the Opposition said at the weekend, these were not empty buildings. The first was the Baza branch of the Scientific Studies and Research Centre in northern Damascus. This was a centre for the research and development of Syria's chemical and biological programme. It was hit by 57 American TLAMs and 19 American JASSMs.
Okay, so we took out the scientific research facility.
The second site was the Him Shinzar chemical weapons bunkers, 15 miles west of the city of Homs, which contained both a chemical weapons equipment and storage facility and an important command post. These were successfully hit by 7 French Scalp cruise missiles.
France did the second target on their own. That's pretty impressive for France. We don't often hear much about France's military.
And the third site was the Him Shinzar chemical weapons storage site and former missile base, which is now a military facility. This was assessed to be a location of Syrian sarin and precursor production equipment, whose destruction would degrade Syria's ability to deliver sarin in the future. This was hit by 9 US TLAMs, 5 naval and 2 Scalp cruise missiles from France, and 8 Storm Shadow missiles launched by R4 RAF Tornado GR4s.
So, everybody had a hand in the destruction of the third target.
Very careful scientific analysis was used to determine where best to target these missiles to maximize the destruction of stockpiled chemicals and to minimize any risk to the surrounding area. And the facility that we targeted is located some distance from any known population centers, reducing yet further any such risk of civilian casualties.
All right, so for everybody screaming, what about the civilians? What about the kids? There weren't any in the area. Remember, our own government chose target, had a hand in choosing these targets. And they selected them. They selected them to minimize civilian casualties.
Last year, in response to a chemical weapons attack against civilians and to signal the regime to cease chemical weapons use, we targeted the military base from which the weapons were delivered. Earlier today, President Trump directed the U.S. military to conduct operations in consonance with our allies to destroy the Syrian regime's chemical weapons research, development, and production capability. Tonight, France, the United Kingdom, and the United States took decisive action to strike the Syrian chemical weapons infrastructure. Clearly, the Assad regime did not get the message last year. This time, our allies and we have struck harder. Together, we have sent a clear message to Assad and his murderous lieutenants that they should not perpetrate another chemical weapons attack for which they will be held accountable.
All right.
Did any Russian defenses engage U.S., British, or French ships or missiles? And Secretary Mattis, were any of the strikes tonight intended to kill Bashar al-Assad?
The only reaction that I'm aware of at this time was Syrian surface-to-air missiles. I happen to be down in the National Military Command Center and was aware of that activity. I'm not aware of any Russian activity, and I'm not aware of the full scope of the Syrian regime response at this time. Again, those will be details we'll pull together for you in the morning.
All right, so this was not a decapitation strike, as you're about to hear.
Yeah, the targets tonight, again, were specifically designed to degrade the Syrian war machine's ability to create chemical weapons and to set that back right now. There were no attempts to broaden or expand that target set.
All right, so this wasn't an attack that was meant to decapitate the regime. This was meant to decidedly stop the use of chemical weapons. Now, the UN Security Council has been hot to trot. The UN Security Council has been a hotbed of activity. And it's not often you get Antonio Guterres himself speaking out on an issue.
Mr. President, any use of chemical weapons is abhorrent. The suffering it causes is horrendous. I have repeatedly expressed my deep disappointment that the Security Council failed to agree on a dedicated mechanism for effective accountability for the use of chemical weapons in Syria. I urge the Security Council to assume its responsibilities and fill this gap. And I will continue to engage with Member States to help achieve these objectives. A lack of accountability emboldens those who use such weapons by providing them with the reassurance of impunity. And this in turn further weakens the norm proscribing the use of chemical weapons and international disarmament and non-proliferation architecture as a whole.
All right, Russia and Syria have been screaming that do an investigation. Well, the OPCW, the UN's Organization for the Prevention of Chemical Warfare, is in Syria. They're on the ground. However, guess what? Syria won't let them near the site. Syria is keeping them away from Duma. Syria is saying, no, you can't go there for security reasons. And that's scary. Don't forget, our own Nikki Haley has called the regime out on multiple occasions. Both the Syrian regime and, yes, Russia. You wonder why I'm naming Russia. They are acting more like a rogue state than I care to think about. I don't want to see a rogue state called Russia. It's the last thing I want. However, here is one example.
The Assad regime continued using chemical weapons against the Syrian people. One member of this council shielded the Assad regime from any consequences, then blocked us from renewing the Joint Investigative Mechanism. Our consensus broke down. The world today is a far more dangerous place because of it. The Assad regime keeps dropping chlorine bombs on innocent men, women, and children. Just these past few weeks, when the regime seized eastern Ghouta, there were credible reports of chlorine gas attacks.
Credible reports. Theresa May says the same thing. Now, remember, Russia was the guarantor for these chemical weapons not being used. Russia supposedly helped get rid of all of Syria's chemical weapons. So you have to ask, why are there still chemical weapons falling? Why?
On the 7th of April, at around 8 p.m. local time, reports started emerging of an alleged chemical weapons attack in Douma. Pictures immediately circulated on social media showing what appeared to be lifeless men, women, and children.
Yes, these reports did start circulating. However, as you heard, Theresa May basically said they were carried out by barrel bombs, which are only used by the Assad regime.
Mr. Speaker, while targeted and limited, these strikes by the US, UK and France were significantly larger than the US action a year ago after the attack at Khan Sheikhoun, and specifically designed to have a greater impact on the regime's capability and willingness to use chemical weapons. We also minimise the chances of wider escalation through our carefully targeted approach, and the House will note that Russia has not reported any losses of personnel or equipment as a result of these strikes.
Note she doesn't mention Iran, although they often don't report casualties. And for those of you wondering how this relates to the Skripal incident, yes, the saga that could appear in any thriller novel you care to read, The Skripals, the poisoning attempted assassination of the Skripals. It has been confirmed by the OPCW, the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, confirmed that the Skripals were exposed to a sophisticated nerve agent that they did not name. The summary of the report was made public. The UK has identified the nerve agent as Novichok, developed by Russia during the Cold War. US-Russia relations are at an all-time low since the Cold War. All right, it is time to pay those radio station bills. And I will see you on the other side.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Sometimes writers feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Thank y'all for hanging in there with me while I paid those radio station bills. Now, there is still a lot going on in chemical weapons. And the U.S. said it was going to act. Act it did. I don't know what else to say. Here's a statement by Russia claiming that we won't play ball with their political processes. Here's a statement by Russia claiming we won't play ball with their political processes. Let's take a listen to what they have to say.
It seems that it appears clear that those in the West who cover themselves with humanitarian rhetoric are trying to justify their action in Syria by supposedly to defeat the jihadists, are actually aiming at dismembering the country. This is confirmed by the fact that the United States has refused to take part in rebuilding the areas of Syria that have been freed from the jihadists. Lastly, your aggression is a major strike and threat against the possibility of continuing the political process under the UN auspices, which, in spite of objective difficulties, was moving forward at varying speeds. Okay, first of all, that process has been stalled for years. Yes, I said that process has been stalled for years. Now, Secretary Haley spoke to this on numerous shows over the weekend. So how do we move forward? Well, in terms of Syria, all I can say is let's hope they've learned their lesson. I don't want to see any more gassings. I don't want to hear about a second Holocaust. I don't want to see pictures on my social media news feeds telling me who the latest victims are. I know this sounds very critical. I will of course look. I will of course bring you the information. But quite frankly, I'm sick of it. I hope no one gasses any more people. And this is worldwide. This past Thursday, I spoke to you about none other than the Holocaust. And I've also been shocked to learn that only approximately 40% of the millennials are even aware of this major historic event that claimed over 6 million lives. The number is somewhere between 5 and 6 million, but it claimed millions of lives. I was shocked and horrified to learn that none of this seems to matter. I was shocked to learn that everything we thought we'd worked for, everything that we thought had been settled, such as failure to do not use chemical weapons. This is something that has been definite across the world stage. We thought we were free. The last time they were used was World War I. And yet people would like to continue dealing with these horrific and immoral weapons. I will, of course, continue to keep an eye on them, but I can only hope and pray the lesson has been learned. The lesson, let's hope, has finally, once and for all, been learned. I somehow doubt it. While I don't know what Assad intends, I can cross my fingers and hope that the lesson has been learned. Now, on to yet another equally horrifying topic. This news story has been swallowed up, especially on the U.S. press, because of many U.S. political stories. There is an American pastor who's detained in Turkey. His charges are committing military espionage and being aligned with a terrorist group. He is facing a 35-year sentence if convicted. His name is Andrew Brunson. They claim he joined an Islamic terrorist movement. Time out. Hold the phone. I can think of no reason why a Christian pastor would have anything to do with a terrorist movement that kicked people out of their homes, burned people alive, beheaded people, and stoned them. I can think of no reason any pastor would want to link up with any terrorist group. It goes against all of the Christian norms and values. The American pastor has been jailed in Turkey for a year and a half, denied all of his charges, all the charges against him. He's a 50-year-old evangelical pastor from North Carolina. He was arrested. Remember those thousands who were arrested? He was one of them that was caught up in these sweeps. He's been accused of working with the Gulenist movement, which is a political organization led by Fethullah Gulen. That's a Turkish cleric in exile in the United States. Erdogan has accused Gulen of fomenting the coup. Gulen has denied the charge. Brunson has denied any involvement with Gulen. Now I understand that may not be enough for some. Brunson went a step further. He told the court, as a Christian, he wants to raise followers for Jesus Christ, and being part of the Gulenist movement is an insult. Brunson had worked and lived in Turkey for 23 years. Since his being held in prison, he's lost more than 50 pounds and had a psychological breakdown and is now being prescribed antidepressants. Please keep in mind, Turkish prisons are nothing like those here in the United States. Instead of being returned to the prison where he'd been held most recently, the judge ordered Pastor Andrew Brunson to be taken back to an overcrowded, extremely grim prison where he was held initially. The ACLJ called the decision an escalation and it was devastating to Brunson and his family, some of whom were in court with him. His wife, Noreen, was initially in prison with him. Now, this man's fate has been brought up on many an occasion in high-level talks with Turkey, even supposedly by President Trump. He proclaims his innocence. I don't want to see any American held on what are most likely trumped-up charges. I don't appreciate lawbreakers, but I feel trumped-up charges are just as bad. Yes, Andrew Brunson is still behind bars. Mr. Brunson is the leader of the Resurrection Church in the seaside of Izmir. He stands accused of aiding the PKK, the Kurdistan Workers' Party, which has been waging a separatist insurgency inside Turkey for 3 decades, in addition to having links with Gulen. He begged to be sent home under house arrest, but the judge issued an order that means the pastor will remain incarcerated for yet another month. On Monday, Senator Tom Tillis of North Carolina was present for the trial. So was Sam Brownback, a former senator, and governor of Kansas, who Mr. Trump and a former Sam Brownback, who was a former senator and governor from Kansas, whom Mr. Trump recently appointed as the ambassador at large for international religious freedom. Mr. Tillis said the case was not being tied to Turkey's request for the extradition of Mr. Gulen, or the discussions over American support for the Kurdish-led militia in Syria. However, I can see those links. I have no doubt that if we were to drop the Kurds like a hot potato, Andrew Brunson and his wife would be on the next plane home. He talks about Jesus. He admits that wholeheartedly. But not to support the PKK, but to spread the word of Christianity. I don't know why anyone would target such a hard-working pastor. There's one more topic I'd like to bring up. The North-South Korea nuclear summit is quickly approaching. And while the two countries are working out the final details, there is one document North Korea has been studying above all else. That document is none other than the Iran nuclear deal. Remember, North Korea recently not only built a second nuclear reactor and brought it online. North Korea is rumored to be helping Syria to build underground nuclear reactors with the assistance of none other than Iran. Remember, all these things are interlinked. There is no escaping them. Russia and Iran and North Korea seem to have their tentacles everywhere. While North Korea attempts to cozy back up to China, Iran seeks to spread its influence and power. I have no clue what's going to happen, but you can be assured that At a minimum, North Korea will want a deal similar to what Iran got. I've stated my opinion on this deal on multiple occasions. It is a bad deal for the United States. It was a great day for Iran. I feel that deal, with so many side deals and secret loopholes, is not worth the paper it was printed on. That deal should have been a treaty. It should have been brought before Congress. When it was, Congress broadly rejected it. Congress wanted nothing to do with it. Congress even agreed it was a bad deal. How then can you expect an American government to live up to such a bad deal? Alright folks, as always, you can follow me on Twitter at Radio Host Jesse. You can email me at the station at Jesse's POV at KLRNRadio.com. And yes, I'm cutting this one just a few minutes short tonight because I am certain there is someone hot on my heels. And even if there's not, there's always America Off the Rails tonight at 11 o'clock Eastern. And as always, you can find Jesse's POV on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and many of your other favorite podcast locations. Alright folks, I'm gone.